Homeschooling 101 for beginners. How do you get started?
Who knows?
Where do you begin?
How did you have your arm last time?
Like this. Like we're like dating.
We love each other.
Aw.
Oh.
Let's kiss for fun.
Can't say that. You ready?
So, Homeschooling 101. How do you get started?
You've decided to homeschool, and now where do you start?
Here are 6 tips that are going to help you if you are considering homeschooling.
Oh, I've got the joy. I've got the joy. Yes. Oh, I've got the joy in my heart to stay.
Subscribe and hit the bell.
Decided to homeschool our children as well, and we're taking step by step, day by day, figuring it out.
Sometimes minute by minute.
With you.
And the lows. If you're considering homeschooling, it's probably because you already recognize a need for it, right? Like maybe you have kids in the public school system and you recognize, oh my goodness, this isn't working, we got to make a change, or you have special family circumstances, or for whatever reason, right? Like,
Or maybe even just this time where we've had COVID. You're thinking, how am I going to send my kid to school next year? And you're just thinking, you know what, maybe next year we'll just temporarily teach our kids from home. And just looking at different options, how to do that. Where do you start? Where do you get that information to make a good choice for your family?
and so if that's a reason that you are thinking of homeschooling, then that's a legitimate reason. That's a good reason.
Totally. And
Yeah.
maybe we have just the right tips for you to get you through, to get you set up for your coming school year.
So for whatever reason, you decided to homeschool. We have just gone through a season where we have been overwhelmed and stressed out and excited and in
Yes.
tears and in joy, all the same. And we feel like we've kind of sifted through and found 6 tips that we have really found to help our journey in
Right.
answering the question, where do you begin? How do you start homeschooling for beginners 101?
And we hope these 6 tips help you.
Tip number 1, I'm sure there's probably somebody that you know or a friend of a friend who homeschools. And so that's a great place to start.
Totally. What an amazing resource to be able to just contact that person and say, listen, I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to homeschool my kids. What do I do?
I could just-
What do you do?
Yeah, I can only imagine that phone call.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
ring and ding, like, hey, so you thinking of doing that homeschool thing that you do? And they'll be like, what? And you'll be like,
Can I send them to your homeschool?
that would be ideal, actually.
I'm sure people have asked before.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we've asked people before.
It's true. These people that have homeschooled for either 1 year or for many years, what a great resource they are for people that really don't know the ins and outs about homeschooling. We got to meet with a number of wonderful homeschooling moms that, oh, it's so exciting because you feel maybe a little silly saying, okay, I finally decided we're gonna homeschool our kids, and you're maybe a little intimidated because maybe you should have made that choice a while ago for certain reasons. But I know that even on the phone, you can just hear that they're smiling, that they're excited for you, that they are gonna welcome you with open arms. And every single person we met with did that. They were so happy and just full of joy that we've decided to teach our children.
Yeah. And they're smart. Like,
Oh, my.
homeschooling parents are very intelligent people. And I mean, that can be intimidating, but the ones that we've interacted with are also at the same time very humble about it.
Oh, and so loving,
And-
so loving.
And they're a wealth of knowledge, like not just with intellectual academic information, but also with like how to go about homeschooling and what
Yes.
has worked for their family. And
Right.
they just want to pour that into you.
Totally.
And so we're so grateful that we've had people in our life that have been so willing to do that for us.
Right. I feel like at the beginning of homeschooling, you're thinking, oh, my day has to be full. It has to be
8
to be
hours.
8 hours, 8 to 4, and everyone's gonna like it. But as we were talking to these people and they're opening our eyes to just a different philosophy of schooling, that it's not what we think it is at all. It's totally different, and there can be joy in it. Even on the days where they feel like they're, okay, not drowning. Drowning would not be the right word to use.
It could be. I feel
On the days
sometimes
where
I
they're
felt like I
drowning.
was drowning.
Oh man, you'll have good days and you'll have bad days.
Days that you feel like you're walking through flames. The fires of purgatory.
Welcome to homeschooling.
Whoosh. You're gonna love it.
It's not gonna hurt at all. So when you get to meet with all these homeschooling moms and dads, often they will lead to tip number 2. Read books that are gonna just help make your understanding of homeschooling just a little bit more clear. Got some wonderful books from some great friends that we have both read, and we encourage both parents to read, because it's not just a change for one parent, it's a huge change for both, and you have to be in it together, or else it could
cause division in a relationship,
Yeah.
in a family. I feel it's important for both partners to be on the same page, because it does have the potential to cause division. Like if you don't see eye to eye and understanding the type of homeschool lifestyle you want to live, and that's an important aspect.
For sure.
And that's one of the main considerations of homeschooling too, is we're doing this for the good of our family,
Yes.
for the good of our kids.
not just the mom and the children, but for the mom, the dad, and the children as a loving family. One that has really stood out to me is this one called The Unhurried Homeschooler. It is a short read. I think it's 60 pages. And what a blessing this woman is in my life. Her name is Dorinda Wilson. If you are choosing to homeschool for the first time, or if you've homeschooled for many, many years, I encourage you to read this book. It really just opened my eyes about the truth to homeschooling. It really focuses on the big picture of homeschooling, where it's not about cramming everything into a day, but actually slowing down and enjoying life and enjoying your children's life through living.
Yeah, so the one book that I started reading is called For the Children's Sake. It's by Susan Schaefer McCulley. And this book completely blew my mind within the first chapter and totally revolutionized how I thought of education and learning, and changed it from thinking of it as like this institutional, regimented thing where you have to send your kids all day long to something, to realizing that learning is a lifestyle. And that how many times throughout the day, how many thousands of opportunities our kids come up to us and they say, hey Dad, what's this up in the sky? And we're like, I don't know, we'll Google it later, right? And those are teachable moments.
Yes.
And it really convicted me as a parent, making me realize that, maybe I haven't taken advantage of those opportunities. And what I love about this shift in philosophy, and what is really what the book is all about, is just recognizing that we have those moments. And as parents, we're the primary educators of our kids, and let's take advantage of those moments. And let's be in the moment, and let's learn not just what's written in the textbook, but what's all around us.
Yes.
Tip number 3 is make sure that you check your state or province's legal requirements for homeschooling. So we live in Ontario, Canada, and so we
have
lucky.
no rules.
Basically anything goes up until the end of grade 8.
Yes.
There's no skill tests. There's no submitting hours or proof of assessment or anything like that in Ontario, but it might be different from wherever you are. So an important thing would be go check out on the website of your local government agency to find out, what are the requirements?
Yes.
And if you're talking to other friends who are homeschoolers and stuff as well, I'm sure they'd be able to point you in the right direction for that.
For sure. They're always so willing to help.
Yeah. And in Ontario, there's really only one thing that we have to do, is just send in a form.
And I think we can do that.
Sign a form that says, we intend to homeschool.
Yes.
We can do that. That's right.
They
made it real simple for people like us.
It might be too easy. Tip number 4, explore what style of learning you want and what's best for your family.
I mean, there's all different ways that you can approach homeschooling.
Anyway.
You could be very regimented, or you can be very freestyle flow, and you can do whatever that it is that you want. And there are pros and cons to both.
For sure.
And I think ultimately it kind of comes down to, what are you trying to achieve and accomplish as a family? Like, what kind of lifestyle do you want to work towards? Maybe you have children that need to process things differently than in a traditional classroom setting or in a regimented workbook. Maybe it takes your children longer to unpack a concept. I know it did for me when I was growing up.
And the wonderful thing too is if you have multiple children, it can change for each child.
Yeah, it can be adapted.
What a beautiful thing, because if you send your kid to school, they get what the teacher teaches them every single way they teach every other child.
Yes.
So if you have a child that struggles and they don't understand by having a teacher read to them, but all the other students do.
I mean, even the best of teachers, like our kids, and when we sent them to a Catholic school, great Catholic school, they had the best of teachers.
Yes.
And even the best of teachers, like honestly, you have to say, like you can't make a custom lesson plan for 30 different students, how they're going to learn in their ideal situation, but you can for your own children.
Yes, and what a beautiful gift from God that is, you know, to even just to figure out the way that your child learns and to actually teach them in the way that is going to help them grow.
Yeah. And so when you begin to arrive at what type of a lifestyle that you're headed towards, what you think is going to be a good fit for your family, it will actually help you with our tip number 5. Which is choosing one of the many different curriculums that are out there.
There are so many out there.
And so many good ones, too.
Yes, it's hard to pick. We checked out so many different kinds of curriculum, and that actually comes from speaking to other homeschooling families as well. When we met with them, you kind of want them to just lay out their day because you want to kind of do the same thing that everyone else is. But what we quickly learned is no homeschooling family does it the same, which can be crazy to think like, okay, so now we have to make up our own curriculum? How do we go about that? But then you start looking, and there are so many to choose from.
Yeah, and you can pick and choose from different curriculums.
Yeah.
Like if you feel like something's going to be really resonate with your kids and their interests, then let's use this from here.
And it can also be based on different children as well. So if you have children that love to do book work, there are so many different curriculums out there that supports that.
Or if you have children that are more hands-on. Like I know I was hands-on as a kid. Like I needed to get in there. I needed to get my hands on it. I needed the blocks in front of me.
Yeah.
I was a visual learner.
There's curriculums that supply all of that. So for our kids this year, some of them we have ordered activity boxes that actually have those physical elements where they can count with counters and different blocks. Where a couple of our kids, they love bookwork.
Yeah.
Love it. So you can actually break up and order different curriculums from so many different suppliers.
Yeah. Or if that stresses you out, which at first that did stress us out,
yes,
right? Then you can just say like, I'm looking at this one particular thing, this whole package, and I'm just going to go with that because then I know that I have all my bases covered.
Yes.
And I don't need to stress out about like teaching them something or whatever it is. And that's a great option too. And if you would love to hear more about the curriculum that we chose and why we chose it, then comment below and let us know, and maybe we can share that in a video.
Totally, yes.
Okay, tip number 6, and this is probably the most important tip if you are considering homeschooling or if you've already arrived on it and you're just wondering how do we get started. This is the most important tip. Believe that you can do it. Because I think for a long time for us in the years leading up to our decision to homeschool, we had this doubt that was just like a shadow cast over us, just thinking like, can we really do that? Are we capable of homeschooling?
Yeah.
And like, is our life just going to spin out of control when we try and attempt this?
Right. It's a wonderful thing. God will give us the grace. He will give us the patience and the understanding, and He's going to help us through the days.
Yeah. Because He's already entrusted us as their parents, their primary educators, that we're already supposed to be in that role anyways.
Yes.
And what a gift that is. And so remove that burden from your shoulders and just rely on trust in God.
Yeah, He's got it.
Yeah, His grace. And coffee.
And coffee. Always coffee. So those are our 6 tips for how to get started with homeschooling.
There you go.
As easy as that.
If you're watching this and you've been homeschooling for a while and you have some other ideas and tips that you want to share, I might invite you to comment below because your input is so valuable. We have learned so much from people who are willing to just pour into us, and so I want to invite you to do the same. Comment below with your tips and maybe we can help each other. Right?
Totally.
Make sure that you subscribe, hit the little bell icon, ding, so that you get notified when we post future videos, and we look forward to journeying along with you as we are striving to continually be living the way. Good luck, suckers.
Like I just feel like I want to say all these wonderful things and they're not coming out. I hope this one doesn't suck.
This one's awesome. You and I are amazing. Mostly you. I'm just piggybacking.
Okay.